welcome to Crew Call, the Below the Line podcast by, for, and about the crew. Today's guest is a Dolly Grip and blogger at, well, you guessed it, Dollygrippery.net. Welcome, Darryl Humber. Well, hello, Darryl Humber. How are you doing today?
Hello. I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you doing?
Good. So my first question is going to be, is there a difference between a regular grip and a Dolly grip?
Yes, there is. A regular grip deals with lighting and bouncing light and cutting light, and also with rigging lights and specialized set rigging, stuff like that I don't deal with. My entire reason for being there is dealing with a moving camera. Moving camera platforms, they're called. Everything but Steadicam. So if it's on a crane or on a dolly, I'm responsible for it. And I also help with rigging them on cars and stuff, which is more of the key grips kind of area, but I do that too. I help out with that too. But I'm kind of my own department within the grip department.
Okay. So you are complete with the camera guys.
Yeah, I'm generally with the camera guys most of the time. I mean, I'm still a grip, and I'm still in the grip department, and the key grip is still my boss. But generally, if I need something or need advice about something, I'll go to him and say, "Hey, what do you think is the best way to do this?" And he'll help me out. But other than that, I try to isolate him from the camera department so he doesn't have to deal with camera issues. So I just take care of all that.
Is there any type of job that you've been on where you have to do both, or no? You're strictly just with the camera?
No, I've been a camera Dolly Grip for about 18 years, and that's all I've done. I don't leave the dolly and go string 12 buys together. I don't leave the dolly and go carry sandbags. All I do is what I do. So yeah, and there are guys, the key grip who also push dolly, which, some say is not a very efficient way to work. I think it's kind of hard to split yourself up that way, but, people do it. Some people do it, but, yeah, I don't do any of the other stuff anymore unless I just want to because I'm bored.
Then walk us through what your typical day would be like, starting from right when you get to set, and then towards the end of the day.
Okay, so I'm getting out of the van from crew parking, and after breakfast at catering, we go to wherever the location is, and I unload. Generally, I have my own truck. I have my own dolly truck that's outfitted with all my stuff, my dollies and my accessories. Me and the B camera Dolly Grip. We unload our stuff, then I kind of leave him to keep unloading while I go to the set and consult with the key grip or the DP and see what's coming up first. Take a look at the location because I generally don't go on scout, so I want to know what I'm dealing with, what kind of floor, what kind of surface it is, how big the room is. So once I get all my stuff to set, generally they're having a rehearsal at that point, and I'll walk in with they'll have a crew rehearsal or a department head rehearsal, and I'll go in with those guys. I have a tape roll and a tape measure, and I'll walk it through with the DP, and he's usually got a finder with the lens he's using on it, and I'll put marks down on the floor, show me where the camera's got to go. Once that's done, the actors will leave. Or sometimes he'll do that. Sometimes we'll watch rehearsal with the actors and they'll leave, and then second team, the stand-ins will come in, and we'll block it out with second team as to where the camera goes. But I'll put marks down. Then once I determine what kind of move is required, I'll talk to the camera operator, and we'll kind of both together give our best guess as the best way to do it. Sometimes it's pretty straightforward, and I'll just do it. Sometimes it's something that requires a little bit of technical, something extra, something different, and he and I will both kind of consult and figure out the best way to do it. I'll see what kind of surface I have to use. If it's a straight line, I can generally use track as long as actors aren't stumbling over it. If it's a move that goes kind of all over the room and with several points on the floor and kind of in and out and everywhere, then it's a dance floor shot. So I have to take measurements with tape measure, figure out how much I need, where it needs to go, and that kind of stuff. Then I put an order in to the rest of the grips, say I need this, 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 and this, and we all kind of go to work bringing it in and lay it out, put the dolly up on whatever's going on, whether it be track or dance floor. Tell the camera department I'm ready for a camera. They bring it in. Then the camera operator and I and the DP will get hard marks, and which means I'll mark the wheels of the dolly wherever it is they go. And generally the marks for this are usually a little bit different than the marks from the finder for whatever reason. Get marks, and then usually the actors will come in, we'll rehearse one more time, and we'll roll on it and, do a couple takes, hopefully not much more than that. Then we move on.
What, is there ever like a shot that doesn't require a dolly? Would you be doing something at that point or just sit out?
Yeah, of course. I mean, sometimes they go handheld. Generally, Dolly Grips, as a courtesy, will kind of take the camera so the first ACs and the ACs don't have to deal with it. So I'll take it off his shoulder and put it on his shoulder and sit there and hold it for them when they do lens change and stuff. It's not a requirement of my job. I do it as a courtesy. It gives me something to do. But even if I'm not doing that during handheld shots or Steadicam shots, I'm responsible for the camera operator's safety. So I'll guide him backwards. If he's walking backwards, I'll guide him to where he has to go. I'll look for obstacles that he might trip over. I'll clear those out. Any extras that are kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time, I'll go to the ADs and say, okay, this guy can't be here. He has to go somewhere else. Or I'll go to, he's start over here. He can't walk through here at this point, whatever. So I'm kind of responsible for that. So I can always find something to do. The only time I really don't have anything to do is car mounts. I did a movie called Need for Speed that just came out, and it was about probably 6 or 7 weeks of nothing but car mounts. So during that time, I really didn't have much to do. I sat on the tailgate and, I'd pitch a hand in, but we had so many guys. We had a dedicated car rigging grip, and we had plenty of guys. And I'd kind of jump in when I got a chance and climb under a car and start screwing bolts in, for a mount or something. But other than that, I really didn't have much to do.
Who makes the decision of whether it's going to be on a track or it's just going to be directly on the floor? Is that something that you would make the decision on, or does someone else give you direction?
No, that's generally me. A lot of times the director or the DP will turn to me and say, do you think we can roll on this floor? And I'll tell them, it depends on how wide it is and how fast the move is. If you're wide enough, if you're on an 18 mil or 21 mil and you're doing a pretty slow move, yeah, you might be able to get away with it if it's a concrete, pretty smooth floor. But if the tighter you go lens-wise and the faster you go, the more it's going to show up. And then sometimes I'll say, let's take a look at it. It looks like it'd be good to me, and then I'll throw the operator on the camera, on the dolly, and we'll run through it one time. And he'll say, it's not bad. Or he may say, yeah, it's we need to do something. And then sometimes I'll just say, no, I really want to throw something down because I don't want to get in a position of, we're ready to roll on take one, and all of a sudden something's not working. You're seeing a bump, or you're seeing something that he didn't see during the rehearsal or whatever, So it's kind of left up to me. But I will, like everything, it's a collaborative process. I'll consult with the operator a lot and see if he sees anything. If I can get away with it, I will.
What's the most difficult part of the dolly moving? Is there, like you were saying, if it's wide enough, it's a little bit easier if it's tight. So would you say that that's like the difficult part of your job is when it's a tight shot?
Nope, not at all. That really has no bearing on it. I don't even know what the most difficult part of my job is. I don't really work that hard much anymore. The most difficult part of my job is probably just the hours and the elements that I have to be out in. I'm always there. I never get to leave. A lot of departments or a lot of guys like the other grips, they come and they like the set and then they're kind of hanging out waiting for a call for something, but they're just kind of hanging out until we do the next setup. And I'm there. I did a TV series a few years ago, and it was an extremely hard show to work on because every shot was a dolly shot or a crane shot. If we were inside, it was all dance floor. I was laying the entire room. If we were outside, it was dolly track through the woods. And I never left, and I was always there. And it was literally rehearse, get marks, build it, shoot, rehearse, shoot, tear it apart, rehearse, get marks, build it, rehearse, shoot. Tear it. It never ended, and I never left. And by about 3 months, I was exhausted. And that's the hardest part of my job. I can't leave.
And that would bring me to another question I have about difficulty. Sometimes the camera has to move with the actors.
Most of the time, we're all there to get the job done, and they realize that. And generally, and most of them will work. I've never had an issue with an actor. Most of them will work with me. They'll say, "Hey, Darryl, I'm going to go a little faster on this one," or I'll tell them, "Hey, I had to extend the track a little where you're walking. I don't want you to, I don't want you to trip over it, whatever, and I've never had an issue with an actor. One time, there was an actor, I did a movie several years ago with a director who's also an actor himself, and he was a gem, but we had this one actor who just insisted on wearing flip-flops for his off-camera dialogue, and I was pulling the dolly back, we were shooting another actor, he was off camera right or something, and I was backing the dolly up on dance floor, and I told him, "You can't stand here. If you stand here, I'm going to hit you." And he said, "Okay," and he moved. And then, sure enough, when we rolled the camera and I'm pulling back, he's standing there. Well, I hit him. And, of course, it turned into a big dramatic thing with him holding his dumbass is wearing flip-flops. And he's holding his ankle and screaming in pain. And the director walked up and said, "You know what? He told you not to stand there. And you stood there anyway. It's on you. You got to learn to protect yourself." And he turned around and walked off.
Are there any other things that have happened that stand out that might be funny or something that you just remember from the years that you've worked and certain jobs that you've done?
Yeah, they all kind of run together after a while. I remember on Big Fish, one thing I've always remembered that I thought was kind of funny. Of course, I did it, so I thought it was funny. but we were shooting at night in the town. I don't know who's seen the movie and who hasn't, but there's a little town, I don't even remember the name of it, that we built for the show. And Ewan McGregor, he visits it, and we're at night, and everything was going along fine. Suddenly Tim Burton decides he wants a crane shot, and the crane's not even pulled out yet because there's been nothing said about it or whatever. And so he said, "Yeah, we can start here, and we can pull back, and we can raise up." And I said, "Tim," and he said, "What?" And I said, "This ain't Batman." And he just got this surprised look on his face, and he kind of, his jaw hung open, his eyes got real big. But we ended up doing the shot anyway. But I'll always remember that. But yeah, that was a fun job. And Tim's he's a great guy.
So then, do you have any creative input at all with these shots, or are you basically still just going by what the director or whoever the camera guy tells you to do? Or do you have a way to say, "Hey, I think it'd be better if we do this"?
Sure, I do. Sometimes, within the shot, absolutely. I can always say, consult with the DP, or sometimes the director will come over and talk to me, and I'll say, if I go too fast here, I'll do this. This will happen too soon, so maybe I should back off a little bit, or if I go this way, I'll see the door a little better, and he'll either say, yeah, try that, or he'll say, no, it's fine, just keep it the way it is, So, yeah, and I try to turn it into a game. And generally at this point, if you've done it long enough, you kind of know what they want before they even tell you. I generally know what kind of move is asked for, so I know how fast to go and when to move it. And, other than a lot of times, the show I'm doing now, there's a lot of, start creeping on this line of dialogue and creep for a page and stop on this particular word. There's a lot of that. So, stuff like that, it's generally what you do is you offer up stuff, and either they take it or they don't, or they'll just tell you outright, start here and end here. So, but yeah, I have some every now and then. Depends on what you're doing and who it is, too.
When did you start in the business?
I started in 1989 when I was still in college at university. I was at the University of Alabama, and I got a job as a grip on a low-budget movie in Mobile, Alabama, and worked for a $300 a week flat and paid my own hotel room out of that, and worked myself almost to death. I was so excited to be there, and it was 14, 16-hour days, and the movie was awful. It was, but it was a real movie, with I think $100,000 budget. And I worked really, really hard, learned a little bit, and moved on. I was living in Birmingham with my, when I was out of school, I lived with my parents at the time during the summer, and there was another little movie shooting in Birmingham, so I went and got a spot on that and learned a little more, and just kind of went from there. Next thing I did, I had done some work in Wilmington, North Carolina, with some friends of mine, and then I came back to Birmingham, and I got a call to interview for a spot on My Cousin Vinny as a grip, so in Atlanta, and then I did that, and I got this job and worked on that, and then just kind of went from there, stayed in Atlanta, and got a job on In the Heat of the Night TV series, and did that for 4 seasons. I was still a grip at that time, and on Heat of the Night's when I really our Dolly Grip that was on Heat of the Night left, and somebody said, do you want to give Darryl a shot? Because I've been doing B camera, and Terrell O'Connor said, yeah, let's give him a shot. And so then I've been a Dolly Grip kind of ever since.
Great. Now, would you be promoted, like if the next level up, is that key grip for you?
Well, it's either key grip, or I could also head into camera operating. I can do steady cam or camera operating also. A lot of Dolly Grips go into become camera operators. And some do it through steady cam, and some just do it. And then some become key grips. I'm not really interested in being a key grip. There's too much headache.
Would you rather go into the camera department?
Yeah, I would probably become an operator before anything else. Yeah, I was actually heading towards Steadicam, and then at that point, my wife, we had another baby, and bought a bigger house. So, again, at some point you got to stop doing what you're doing and start doing something else, and it's that lull between those two things that kind of kill you money-wise. So at this point, I'm still, I'll stay behind the dolly for a little while longer. But yeah, eventually I'd like to move up into something else.
Okay, now how different is it for you working in New York versus Los Angeles or even another city like Wilmington or like Atlanta? Is there any difference in the cities, or is it pretty much the same?
I've worked in New York a couple of times, but I'm based out of Atlanta now. I started in Atlanta, I was here for 10, 12 years, and then all the work went to Canada. So I had to move to Los Angeles just to kind of to get my union. I moved and got my union card in LA and worked there for like 6 or 7, 8 more years. And then eventually there's enough work here now that I could come back home. So I came back home, and you know what? The work's pretty much the same. I did an interview with an NPR station in LA 3 or 4 weeks ago, and they asked me the same question. I said, yeah, the work's the same. You know, the same people, generally the same people. What's happening is in a boom town like this is now you have a lot of guys moving up before they're ready to. You have a lot of young guys who aren't really experienced, but the productions coming into town want to hire all locals. They don't want to bring anybody because it's cheaper. So guys who aren't really ready to move up to something else get promoted really quickly, and that's a lot of times how bad things happen. But that's the only downside. In general, the shows I do, it's all exactly the same. I work with a key grip who has been a key grip for 30 years. He lives here. He's based here in Macon, Georgia. His entire crew is from Georgia, and we work all over the country. And he's as good as any key grip in the business. But yeah, the work's the same. It's no different.
Now, are you kind of secure with work because of the key grip, or do you still have to worry about these people that you're talking about that aren't even ready to move up, but because they're local, they move them up?
No. My key grip. I'm my key grip Dolly Grip. If he gets a job, I'm there. I mean, if you're asking, am I worried about one of these 22-year-old guys that don't know how to put the low mode on the dolly taking my spot? No, I'm not worried about that at all. I'm worried about somebody doing something they're not ready for and it causing someone to get hurt.
Right. And then, of course, if they don't know what they're doing, it's going to make the production even longer and more expensive. Correct?
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with being inexperienced. I was inexperienced as I could be. You know, we all were at some point. But you have to take the time to learn and ask questions and there's a time to talk and laugh and time to keep your mouth shut and learn. And I worry that some of these guys, you know, suddenly they're on set and they're setting flags over people's heads and they're, you know, rigging stuff out of the ceiling. A lot of them haven't done it before, you know, and they haven't taken the time to learn like those of us that were around, you know, when it wasn't as busy as it did. It's a concern, and our union local is, you know, taking steps to kind of mitigate that and starting a safety class process for people to go through and that kind of stuff. But no, I don't really worry about it. I mean, I'm pretty well set as far as that's
For someone that does want to become a dolly grip, what would you suggest to them as far as starting out? What would you tell them to do?
I would say, first of all, learn the dollies. Learn the equipment, learn what it looks like. Go to a rental house, go to a local rental house that has either a Fisher or a Chapman dollies there, and they'll generally will have no problem with you kind of going through them and learning what they can do and playing around with them, you know, right there at the rental house. You know, put marks down and practice going from one mark to another, and add a boom to it and practice hitting the marks at the same time, you know, starting and ending at the same time. You know, and watch and get a B camera. Start out as a B camera dolly grip on a show. You can get if you're a grip on a show, watch the dolly grips work and ask them questions. You know, there's nothing wrong with asking questions, and a lot of people are afraid to because they don't want to look stupid. But you know what? If you look stupid or if you don't ask, if you act like you know what you're doing and you don't. So yeah, ask questions and watch them work and help them out, and learn how to lay track. And learn shortcuts on how to do things, and learn what the dollies can do and can't do, and go to the rental house and practice. And eventually you'll reach a point where, as a dolly grip, you reach a point where you've kind of done every possible shot that they can come up with, and that's the goal you kind of try to work towards. Where you just kind of don't think anything about it, you just walk up and do it.
Is there any such thing as like an intern for you or an assistant for you? So if they wanted to learn, and you know, could they just be someone that follows you around, or do they actually have to somehow get into the crew as something else?
Yeah, we generally don't allow interns because it's an insurance thing, and it's a union issue also. And so a lot of times they won't let. Now, even camera departments get a PA, but they're not allowed to touch any of the camera equipment. So go figure that out. But I would say generally the closest thing I have to an assistant, and this isn't even true. It's only true because they generally don't work as much as I do. Is the B camera is usually not an assistant. They kind of back me up, and if I need something, they go get it, and they make sure everything we need there, only because I know I'm going to work every shot, but they don't work every shot, so they have more downtime than I do.
So what do you think would be the natural progression? Like, let's say they're brand new, just came into town, never done anything before. First thing they would try to do is get a PA job, and then from there, where would they go to get to the B camera?
Well, I would go, if you want to be a dolly grip, you have to be a good grip, first of all. You have to learn, you have to put the time in and learn how to be a set grip. And that requires at least 2 or 3 years, I would say. You got to learn how to set flags, you got to learn how to light, you got to learn how to rig, you have to know all of that to be an effective dolly grip. You have to know how to solve problems. And if there's a flare in the lens, I have to know how to fix it. You know, and I didn't learn that from being a dolly grip. I learned that from being a set grip. So I would tell them they have to get a job working as a set grip. Then let the key grip, whoever it is they've been working for, know that they'd like to start working towards getting a B camera and dolly grip slot and learning how to do the job.
Since you started out, have you noticed that the industry has changed much as far as like what goes on set and how it affects you?
Yeah, the technology is certainly different especially as far as the cameras. You know, when I started up until a couple of years ago, I was still doing nothing but film jobs. Everything I did was still shot on 35 millimeter. But now everything's shot on the Alexa or shot on the Sony. You know, everything's HD now, and it's a different environment as far as I have noticed it, and I've actually talked this over with friends of mine. Another friend of mine who's a key grip. And he said that nothing has eroded the discipline on set like the advent of HD, because the cameras just roll forever. You know, before you're trying to save film, so you would have a definite roll and a definite cut and and then you reset. Now they just turn them on and let them roll. You know, okay, everybody go back and want to start over. You know, and it kind of turns into this frenzy. And also, it seems to be more relaxed. There's people standing in front of the lens and doing their hair and doing this and that, which, 20 years ago, if somebody stood in front of the lens while the operator was looking through it, it was, they heard about it really quick. And now people just kind of wander around. And I see what he's saying. There does seem to be an erosion in the discipline on the set, and I don't know if it has anything to do with that or not, but it did seem to kind of come along with the advent of, there was a definite process. It was roll, action, cut, reset, cut, check the gate, cut, print, and that kind of cadence that kind of kept the rhythm of the day, a lot of that's gone.
Does it make it a longer shoot then at that point?
No, not necessarily. It doesn't make anything longer. It makes it a lot more frustrating. If something went wrong with the take, generally you would cut it, and you would have a chance to regroup and start over. Okay, everybody go back to one. Let's start. Now it's just, okay, where were you at when I said that word? And it's just kind of, okay, I don't know. I'm looking at you and reading sides at the same time. I have no idea where I was. It's that kind of stuff, and it just turns into this frenzy. But, like I said, and it may not be bad. I don't know. It just may be new. Everything was so regimented in the film business for so long, and now everything's different. So I may just be one of those cranky old guys that don't like change. Everything still runs along like clockwork generally. It's a film set's still a very disciplined place. It's just different. It's not like it was.
What is the best part of your job? We might have touched this, but what would be your favorite part, and what would be like the worst thing?
Well, the best part of my job is I love being on a film set where everybody has their own thing they're good at. And a film crew's like a family. I mean, it really is. You're actually with them more than you are your own family. You're with people 14 hours a day for 5 days a week for 4 months. And if you're on location, it's even more, So that's my favorite thing is the people that I've known for years and years, and you pick up, you may finish a show and not see them for a while, and then next time you see them, you just pick up right where you left off and start laughing at the same old jokes. And also there's something very satisfying about just pulling off a shot that nobody thought you could do. And you finish a particularly tricky crane shot or dolly shot, and some set painter or somebody walks up and says, I watched you do that, and that was pretty amazing that you were able to do that, and that gives you a really good feeling. But the worst part's when you hit everything in the room but your mark. And then they walk up and say, wow, that was really horrible, which I've done too. So, no, the worst part is, and by the same token is, you work such long hours, and it kind of, the film business, it sucks away so much of your life. It really does. So if you want to do it, you have to be prepared for that. And a lot of people don't realize it until you're so deep into it, and you realize, what, I'm spending 14 hours a day of my life on a film set for years. And what does that leave me? So you have to learn, if you're going to do it, you have to learn how to make those hours count and at least have fun while you're there. You're making not everybody, how many people wish they could wake up in the morning and work on a film crew? A lot, I would imagine. It's a trade-off. You get to work in the film business, hang out with movie stars, but by the same token, you have entire swaths. You start measuring your life by what movie you were doing at what period in time.
So I guess my last and final question would be, after all these years of experience that you have, if you were the king of Hollywood and everything was up to you, is there anything that you would do differently, any changes you would want to make?
First, the thing I would do is give every Key Grip, Dolly Grip, and Grip in town to drive on past at Warner Brothers. And I would make sure that these people who work all these hours and stuff are treated with, all they ask is to be treated with respect. That's all. They work their butts off. All the below the line people, they really work their tails off, and most of them are fantastic at what they do. I mean, they're just artists in their own, and the only recognition they get is they spend 16-hour days of their lives, and they get a paycheck, and sometimes if they're lucky, their name at the end. And all they ask is that you treat them with respect, not an afterthought. And that's all I would change. Mostly it's conditions, as far as, spring for the hotel room, when they work 16 hours, is that kind of thing. But most directors, the director I'm working with now walks up to me at the end of every day and shakes my hand and says, "Hey, thanks, man, great job," and gives me a slap on the back, That's all you really ask for.
All right. Well, wise words from one of the hardest working men on the crew. Thank you so much, Darryl, for answering some questions and spending this time with us. We aim to help others out there that are interested and want to know in any facet of the business. It's good for them to understand what everybody does in the crew. And thank you for what you do, and thanks so much for sharing this time with us.
All right, hi, thank you. And anytime I can help you with anything, please feel free to get in touch with me.
Thank you so much, Darryl. It's been a pleasure.
All right, hon. Talk to you later. Bye.
That's all for this episode of Crew Call. A big thank you to Darryl Humber for his insights and stories. Tune in next time for casting director Stacey Tannenbaum. Thanks for listening.